Sandy asked me how to apply foundation and what I use, what products I use and what brushes I use. So I'm going to quickly go through that with you now. For my foundation, I use one of two things. I either use skin-based foundation from Illamasqua in number 15, and this is not full coverage. It's like medium coverage, I would say, but still a really good foundation. It stays on all day. Or I use MAC Studio Fix Fluid Foundation in NC50. And this is my favourite, I would say, only because I like full coverage as opposed to this one, which is like a medium coverage. What I would usually use to put on foundation is a MAC 190. It's a flat brush and it's really, really good putting on fluids, and you can use it on concealers as well. So I'm going to show you quickly what I do. So I've got my NC50 there. I put a little bit on the back of my hand and I work from that. And I kind of start underneath the eyes first. Then I blend it on top of my eyes as well. Or you may have just darker circles underneath your eye. So I concentrate the brush underneath my eye first. So like so. And you can see already how much difference it's made. It's just kind of perfected, covered up any blemishes that I have. And it's quite a good colour match as well. So this is a good colour for me to use around my whole face. I've only used a tiny little bit on the back of my hand, and that's been enough to cover the whole of my face. Sometimes when you're using a flat brush, foundation brush like this, you'll get streaks if you don't take your time and blend it in properly. If you're someone who doesn't have a lot of time in the morning, you don't think you're going to be able to blend very well with that brush, another good brush I would suggest would be the MAC, I think this is 130 Duo Fibre brush. This is a really good brush, but I recommend you get the one with the short white hairs on the top and not the long white hairs on the top, because this one is a little bit difficult to get around the nose area and it causes streaks, which is kind of why we're using this one, to not get the streaks. So yeah, this MAC brush is a really good applying foundation as well. First thing I do after my foundation is my concealer. The reason you do concealer after foundation is because if you put the concealer on before and you put the foundation after, you might wipe away the concealer, so then you'll just lose its properties. I'm using NC45, which is lighter than me, but not bags lighter than me, just a little bit lighter than me. And I'm using a fluffy brush from Illamasqua. And I put just a tiny bit underneath my eye. And you can see already how much that's lifted my eye. And I put a little bit on the top of my lid as well. Do the same on the other side. Again, I've dipped my brush in there twice and it's enough to cover blemishes, dark circles, even out your skin tone without having to scoop the concealer pan out, which I have seen people do. So it's not necessary, it's a good product. The coverage is full coverage, so you don't need to dig out too much and put it on your skin. And of course, if you put too much, you just clog your pores, especially if you've got it on all day. It's not really a good idea. You get spots and more blemishes and whatever else. But yeah, the powder helps to set your foundation and keep it on for longer. So I'm using my matte blocked powder, and I'm hitting areas like my forehead, my nose, and under my eyes. The next thing I'm going to do is highlight. I've got this really nice package from Illamasqua called Bronzing Duo, and this colour is in Glint and Rife, and it's got, if you're a makeup artist, it's a really good product because it's got, they're both highlighters, even though it doesn't look like it on camera, but this one would be for like lighter skin and then this one's for darker skin, and it's got really fine light reflecting pigment in it that's really pretty once applied to the cheekbones. So I'll show you. I'm going to use an Illamasqua fluffy brush again on my cheekbone. So I'm going to carry the highlight a little bit further up as well, but not into my hairline, to just on my cheekbone. And you can see how much that's making it glow already and giving me more of a cheekbone, even though we haven't contoured yet. It's a warm colour, which I wouldn't normally put on my skin because it's a red tone, but a little bit blended into my normal foundation just for a contour won't really make any difference. So I'm putting a little bit on the back of my hand, but a tiny little bit. I'm going to use my fluffy brush for this as well. I'm going to test it on my hand first to make sure I haven't got too much product on the brush. A good way to see where your cheekbone is to feel it, literally. You can feel where your cheekbone is and you can feel where it goes in. Wherever you feel that dip go in, that's where you want to start contouring. You don't want to come too far in because it will just look like you have just a big dark line here, which is not really the effect, but if you've done it well, it will just make your cheekbone look slightly higher. This is Raisin from MAC and this is a Deep Peach. I'm going to use a combination of the two to do my blusher, and I'm going to use a contouring brush 130. Yeah. If your face is quite rounded, I'm a big girl so my face is chubby, you don't want to put blusher here too far underneath your eye, because what the colour will do is it will just accentuate the roundness of your cheek. If you want your face to look a little bit more slender, I would suggest you carrying your blusher slightly underneath your cheek and just on top of the contour. Using my mixture of Raisin and Peaches on my MAC 130, I'm going to begin underneath my cheek here and carry up into the contour. So here's the apple of my cheek. I'm just carrying the blusher underneath. So that is how I put on my foundation, how I bring warmth into my skin, and how I highlight and contour. And you can see how different it's made my face look if you go to the start and then forward it to now. But yeah, thanks for watching you guys, and I hope that was helpful. Thanks, bye.